Hey guys, I hope you are enjoying this foggy day. Some might even say it's mizzly out. Have you read that poem yet? All right, so we're going to pick up with the one and only Ivan. We are on the section titled Jumbo. I wonder if any of you know what that word means. I only know what it means from working at Disney World and going on the safari ride all the time at Animal Kingdom. It means hello in Swahili. It either means hello or goodbye. Pretty sure it's hello. Let's find out. My TV is off, so while we wait for the new neighbor, I ask Stella to tell us a story. Stella rubs her right foot against the wall. Her foot is swollen again, an ugly, deep red. If you're not feeling well, Stella, I say, you could take a nap and tell us a story later. I'm fine, she says, and she carefully shifts her weight. Tell us the Jumbo story, I say. It's a favorite of mine, but I don't think Bob has ever heard it. Because she remembers everything, Stella knows many stories. I like colorful tales with black beginnings and stormy middles and cloudless blue sky endings, but any story will do. I'm not in a position to be picky. Once upon a time, Stella begins, there was a human boy. He was visiting a gorilla family at a place called a zoo. What's a zoo? Bob asks. He's a street smart dog, but there's much he hasn't seen. A good zoo, Stella says, is a large domain, a wild cage, a safe place to be. It has room to roam and humans who don't hurt. She pauses, considering her words. A good zoo is how humans make amends. Stella moves a bit, groaning softly. The boy stood on a wall, she continues, watching, pointing, but he lost his balance and fell into a wild cage. Humans are clumsy, I interrupt. If only they would knuckle walk, they wouldn't topple so often. Stella nods. A good point, Ivan. In any case, the boy lay in a motionless heap while the humans gasped and cried. The silverback, whose name was Jumbo, examined the boy, as was his duty, while his troop watched from a safe distance. If you'll remember when we learned about Ivan, we talked about gorillas and how a group of gorillas is called a troop, right? Jumbo stroked the child gently. He smelled the boy's pain and then stood watch. When the boy awoke, his humans cried out, "Stay still, don't move," because they were certain, humans are always certain about things, that Jumbo would crush the boy's life from him. The boy moaned. The crowd waited, hushed, expecting the worst. Jumbo led his troop away. Men came down on ropes and whisked the child to waiting arms. Was the boy all right? Bob asked. He wasn't hurt, Stella says. Although I wouldn't be surprised if his parents hugged him many times that night in between their scoldings. Bob, who has been chewing on his tail, pauses, tilting his head. Is that a true story? I always tell the truth, Stella replies, although I sometimes confuse the facts. Lucky. I've heard the Jumbo story many times. Stella says that humans found it odd that the huge silverback didn't kill the boy. Why, I wonder, was that so surprising? The boy was young, scared, alone. He was, after all, just another great ape. Bob nudges me with his cold nose. Ivan, he says, why aren't you and Stella in a zoo? I look at Stella. She looks at me. She smiles sadly with her eyes, just a little, the way only elephants can do. Just lucky, I guess, she says. Arrival. The new neighbor arrives after the 4:00 show. When the truck comes lumbering towards the parking lot, Bob scampers over to inform us. Bob always knows what's happening. He's a useful friend to have, especially when you can't leave your domain. With a groan, Mac lifts the sliding metal door near the food court, the place where deliveries are made. A big white truck is backing up to the door, belching smoke. When the driver opens the truck, I know that Stella is right. A baby elephant is inside. I see her trunk poking out from the blackness. I'm glad for Stella, but when I glance at her, I see she is not glad at all. Stand back, everyone. Mac yells. "We've got a new arrival. This is Ruby, folks. 600 pounds of fun to save our sorry butts. This gal is going to sell us some tickets." Here's a picture of Ruby coming in off the truck. Mac and two men climb into the black cave of the truck. We hear noise, scuffling, a word Mac uses when he's angry. Ruby makes a noise too, like one of the little trumpets they sell at the gift store. "Move," Mac says, but still there is no Ruby. "Move," he says again. "We haven't got all day." Inside her domain, Stella paces as much as she's able. 2 steps one way, 2 steps the other. She slaps her trunk against the rusty metal bars. She grumbles. "Stella," I ask, "did you hear the baby?" Stella mutters something under her breath, a word she uses when she's angry. "Relax, Stella," I say. "It will be okay." "Ivan," Stella says, "it will never, ever be okay." And I know enough to stop talking. Stella helps. The men are still yelling. Some of the yelling is at each other, but mostly it's at Ruby. We hear scrambling, pounding, shifting. The side of the truck shudders. "I'm starting to like this elephant," Bob whispers. "I'm getting the big one," Mac says. Maybe she can coax the stupid brat out of the truck." Mac opens Stella's door. "Come on, girl," he urges. He unties the rope attached to the floor bolt. Stella pushes past Mac, nearly knocking him over. She rushes as best as she can, limping heavily toward the open back of the door of the truck. She catches her swollen foot on the edge of the ramp and winces. Blood trickles down. Halfway up the ramp, she pauses. The noise in the truck stops. Ruby falls silent. Slowly, Stella makes her way up the rest of the ramp. It groans under her weight, and I can tell how much she is hurting by the awkward way she moves. At the top of the incline, she stops. She pokes her trunk into the emptiness. We wait. The tiny gray trunk appears again. Shyly, it reaches out, tasting the air. Stella curls her own trunk around the baby's. They make soft, grumbling sounds. We wait some more. A hush falls over the entire Big Top Mall. Thud, thud, step, step, pause, step, step, pause. And there she is, so small she can fit underneath Stella with room to spare. Her skin sags and she sways unsteadily as she makes her way down the ramp. "Not the greatest specimen," Mac says, "but I got her cheap from this bankrupt circus out west. They had her shipped over from Africa. Only had her a month before they went bust." He gestures towards Ruby. "Thing is, people love babies. Baby elephants, baby gorillas. Heck, give me a baby alligator and I could make a killing." Stella ushers Ruby toward her domain. Mac and the two men follow. At Stella's door, Ruby hesitates. Mac gives Ruby a shove and she doesn't budge. "Doggone it, get a clue, Ruby," he mutters, but Ruby isn't moving, and neither is Stella. Mac grabs a broom. He raises it. Instantly, Stella steps in front of Ruby to shield her. "Get in the cage, both of you," Mac shouts. Stella stares at Mac, considering. Gently but firmly using her trunk, she nudges Ruby into her domain. Only then does Stella enter. Mac slams the door shut with a clang. "Poor kid," says Bob. "Welcome to the Exit 8 Big Top Mall and Video Arcade, home of the one and only Ivan." Old news. When Julia comes, she sits by Stella's domain and watches the new baby. She barely talks to me. Stella doesn't talk to me either. She is too busy nuzzling Ruby. She is cute, little Ruby, with her ears flapping like palm leaves, but I am handsome and strong. Bob trots a circle around my belly before settling down into just the right spot. "Give it up, Ivan," he says. "You're old news." Julia gets out a piece of paper and a pencil. I can see that she is drawing Ruby. I move to the corner of my domain to pout. Bob grumbles. He doesn't like it when I disrupt his naps. "Homework," Julia's father scolds. Julia sighs and puts her drawing aside. I grunt, and Julia glances in my direction. "Poor old Ivan," she says. "I've been ignoring you, haven't I?" I grunt again. A dignified and different grunt. Julia thinks for a moment, then smiles. She walks over to my domain, to the spot in the corner where the glass is broken. She slides paper through. She rolls a pencil across my cement floor. You can draw the baby elephant too, Julia says. I bite the pencil in half with my magnificent teeth. Then I eat some paper. I'm going to stop there. It's getting really good. I know I'm excited to remember what happened. I read this book a while ago, but I can't remember all the details. I do wish we could talk in person about how you guys are feeling about Ruby being a baby elephant all on her own and being taken from her home and going to a circus and now to the Big Top Mall. I'm interested to see what you guys think. You can always leave some comments on Google Classroom or on YouTube if your parents say that's okay. I know when I read that part about Ruby coming to the Big Top Mall and Stella protecting her and the way Ruby was crying and hesitant to get off the truck, I always get really sad for Ruby. But I think you're going to like the relationship that Ruby and Ivan formed together. So I know I'm excited to read some more to you guys tomorrow. I hope you have a great evening and take care.